Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Kistler O'Brien Podcast. I'm Tyler Trumbauer with Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, getting set for the September 21 episode of the KOB Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, be sure to check them out on our YouTube channel, Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, or anywhere you can stream the audio-only version, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Anywhere you get yours, you can find us there. Just search KOB Podcast. For this month, we're going to be talking to another member of Team KOB, someone who has just gone through a role change here and is going into a different position with Kistler O'Brien, but has been a member of the team for quite some time. And I'm excited talking to him about his subject matter that he's an expert in and how he's going to attack this new role. So joining me here this month for our conversation is pre-engineered kitchen sales representative Anthony Hertzog, joining us here this month. Anthony, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time today, and welcome to the KOB Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, coming into a new role here, you're the pre-engineered kitchen sales representative in your current role. Coming from a technician role before, you've kind of gone through a couple of different iterations since you've been with KOB, but now in your current role, what are you going to be focusing on? What systems are you going to be working with? Kind of just familiarize our audience with what you're going to be doing moving forward with KOB.
Yeah, so I'm going to be focused on new systems in kitchens, such as restaurants, food trucks, colleges, hospitals, pretty much any kitchen that requires a fire suppression system. Some of the systems include, not limited to, Ansel, Kitty, Kidda, Amerex, Pyrochem, and we'll pretty much take care of any existing fire system a customer may already have.
This is an area that you're very familiar with from being in a technician role previously, correct? So these are all systems that you have installed, been on the front lines working with, and now just switching to a sales role, correct?
Yes, I've been servicing, maintenance, and installing these systems for quite a few years now. And finally moved out of the field into the sales. So I'm still dealing with the same systems, just in a different aspect.
Absolutely. And still providing those life safety solutions. And speaking of life safety, fire safety, what about this industry motivates you? Obviously, you're still involved with it for several years as a member of Team KOB, moving through a variety of roles and systems and focuses. But what motivates you to continue to work in this industry and now go into a different department within Kistler O'Brien?
One of the biggest motivations would have to be the protection of customers' assets, belongings, employees, and even their life. Approximately $165 million a year in damages from restaurant fires. So the biggest thing that motivates me is the protection of people's assets, their businesses, their livelihoods, everything that they work so hard for. That's what motivates me, is keeping all that protected and just pretty much staying in the field. And it makes me happy to be able to help people out, and especially in a way of protecting them. It's a good feeling. It's rewarding.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of our teammates here on Team KOB would say similar sentiments about what motivates them and pushes them every day in their role. So diving deeper into these systems, you mentioned pre-engineered kitchen systems you're working with. You worked within the field, again, here now in a sales role. How critical are these systems? Really, what do they do for our customers? Obviously, they lump into fire and life safety protection plans to protect their people and property. But what do they do in particular for the businesses that you interact with?
So these systems are designed to automatically detect and extinguish a fire pretty quickly. So a fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. So having an automatic extinguishing system is pretty much a necessity in any commercial kitchen, whether it be a college, food truck, anywhere, it doesn't matter. So having something like that really, really protects, the investment, the employees, everything of that nature.
Right. And the system's one thing. So having it in place, getting that installation done, check that box. But what about the years of service and maintenance of them? Why is Kistler O'Brien the best choice for the businesses, the business owners, to have those features taken care of in addition to the installation, but the upkeep of them?
Yeah, the upkeep is just as important as the initial installation. With KOB, KOB brings to the table almost 90 years of experience in dealing with these systems, other aspects of fire protection. So KOB is very knowledgeable, licensed, certified, everything like that in these systems. So with KOB protecting or maintaining and servicing these systems, you're getting exactly what you expect, superior work. And at the end of the day, KOB will make sure that that system fires when they need it to.
Certainly. And you hit on a couple of good points there. And maybe it's one you already mentioned, but maybe it's a different one. What can you tell us about is particular commercial kitchens that Kistler O'Brien can offer? What is it that a potential customer may not realize that Kistler O'Brien can bring to the table when we're talking about these systems?
KOB brings a lot to the table. Like I said, KOB has been in business for nearly a century, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that comes a lot of experience of an enormous support team. KOB employs nearly 200 people, roughly 100 vehicles, and a 24-hour emergency line. So pretty much anything that the customer needs that is fire protection related, KOB has somebody, a technician, they have an answer for all of their questions.
Right. Very good point as well. It's the infrastructure behind it within the maintenance, the installation, the service, all of that all the way through. And the 2 satellite offices as well with local service and response times in Reading and Westchester as well. A question for you, commercial system or commercial kitchen systems, they are in an industry right now that was still reeling really from the COVID-19 pandemic. Restaurants hit extremely hard now, trying to come out of the pandemic despite this Delta variant. Now, in addition to pandemic related issues, they're dealing with hiring issues as well. So just so many different obstacles in the way for these business owners. What do you foresee the future being like for those businesses and for the fire and life safety industry trying to do what they can to ensure that there's safety, but also not too much of a financial burden for those business owners? And I know for you, maybe in particular, your responsibility trying to relay to these business owners that you may want to cut costs in areas and potentially cut corners as well. But with your commercial kitchen pre-engineered system and any fire protection related to your business, that's one area you can't cut from.
Yeah, absolutely not. You can't cut corners when it comes to fire protection. At the end of the day, you need these items, suppression system, fire extinguisher, doesn't much matter. You need all these items in your building, your restaurant, to keep your investment safe, to keep your employees safe, to keep yourself safe. You made a good point about the COVID and the toll that it took on the restaurant industry. The restaurant industry has never seen anything like this, period. So it's all new. There's a lot of new challenges that's coming from the pandemic. And right now, probably the biggest challenge is the hiring. Like you said, they're struggling to find employees. Every day I'm seeing a new restaurant changing hours, trying to accommodate the employees that they do have while still trying to stay in business. So, excuse me, as of right now, it's still pretty tough, but everything is on the swing up. As long as everything stays on track, I do see a bright future relatively soon. We are headed in the right path of getting back to what we all consider normal.
Certainly. And I think you have a unique perspective on this when it comes to these business owners in the restaurant industry and commercial kitchen industry, because you worked through the pandemic right alongside with them to ensure that their systems were still installed, maintained, et cetera. What was the reaction like from them? What was it like working alongside them to get them to understand the importance of these systems, trying to do what you can to say, hey, listen, this is what you need to have done. This is what you should potentially foresee coming down the line that may need to be replaced or fixed, but trying to be empathetic to their situation right now as a technician, and building that partnership between KOB and our customers. With you, you're on the front lines of that partnership and interacting with the customer. What was that last 12 months, 18 months like for you in your previous role, trying to have those open lines of communication, but understanding where the business owner is coming from as well?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And it's the first time I've been asked that. So the past 12 months, especially in the pandemic, has been, brutally honest, it's been heartbreaking. The hardest part about it wasn't working through the pandemic, wasn't the masks, the gloves, the sanitizing. It was the stories that I've heard from the owners as I'm going there to install a fire suppression system. Some of these restaurants have been in business or passed down from their fathers. 50, 60 years they've been in this one spot, especially like the local mom and pop pizza joints. To go in there and, just see them closed, nobody there. And just the stories that they told me, it was very upsetting at points. It was tough.
Certainly, and heartbreaking stories that we've seen throughout the pandemic. And then, like you said, you have a unique perspective working with those people side by side, and hiring people has been an issue not only in the restaurant industry, but in all industries right now in the United States. Kistler O'Brien, not immune to that either. We have a double-digit amount of opportunities available for job openings right now for anyone to apply to, both internally in Kistler O'Brien and external candidates applying to join Team KOB. And I think you may have an interesting kind of take on this with how you have worked in a variety of roles, most recently in a technician and then moving to another sales motivated role. What would you say to somebody that maybe looking to join Team KOB, whether they're already in the life safety industry or not, but maybe looking to make that move and maybe KOB could be their employer of choice? What would you say to them why they should choose KOB?
I think the biggest thing for me that I would want to say, and one of the things that I recognized over the years, including my first day as a new hire with the company, was it's very family oriented. You have a very strong support team behind you, and they motivate you to be the best that you possibly can, which is huge. You have the support team, they motivate you, they take care of you. And coming from the install department, especially, the camaraderie within the department, I think for a while there, we were down to like 3 to 4 guys, and very, very strong family-like bond. A little bit of competition sometimes on installs and, everything like that. But just the family-oriented support team, and, just what we do for a living, how serious we take our jobs. There's a lot of pride in the company. There's a lot of responsibility, and it's just a great company to work for overall.
Certainly, and I would agree. And I think one thing to note is that family-oriented, family-minded mentality has continued despite the company growing from where it was nearly 90 years ago to where we are now, as you mentioned, nearly 200 employees, 3 different locations serving the tri-state area. So I'll just say to the audience right now, if you're looking to potentially make a move, this is not just the next job. This is potentially a career here at KOB. Anthony can attest to that as you grow and evolve as a person, to go from technician to sales or vice versa, or in the office to out in the field and then maybe back again. This is the place that has the infrastructure, the opportunities to do that, and the leadership that will allow your self growth and continued education to get that done. And I think, Anthony, you kind of hit on that, to where the camaraderie, the team oriented mentality allows this team to have its team members grow into something more than where they first came in the door at.
Absolutely. KOB won't hold anybody back. It's pretty great to start, in standard products, tagging fire extinguishers, and just slowly move my way up all the way up to the point that I made it into the sales position. And man, I couldn't be happier.
Certainly. And we're glad. Yeah, we're glad that you're there. And I'll just say, if anyone that is interested to potentially take a look at our website, www.kobfire.com. We have our careers section on there, all of our job listings as well. You can apply right there, and that will get right to our human resources department to potentially see if there's a job opportunity that entices you. I believe we have openings in all 3 of our locations. In addition to Bethlehem, we have openings in our offices at Reading as well as Westchester. So keep that in mind as well. So Anthony, I kind of wanted this podcast to kind of serve as your introduction here to those in the industry that may not know you initially or may only recognize your face or your name from coming out and doing customer site calls. But now you're going to be probably branching out to other businesses and customers that you never dealt with before. Now in the beginning part of this process for the sales role. So kind of what are your goals, your aspirations here? What would you like to say to folks to kind of introduce yourself to this role and to them now as a pre-engineered, kitchen sales representative and kind of moving forward now in this new chapter with KOB?
That's a good question. It's a tough question. The biggest thing is, I've worked on these systems for so long. I know the ins and outs of all these systems, the equipment that they protect, the way the systems operate, and where they are required most. So the biggest thing is just I'm very pleased to be able to stay in the department sort of and deal with the same systems I've been installing for years. And just I'm thrilled to be in this position.
Certainly. And last question for those that are interested potentially of contacting you. Obviously, you're on LinkedIn as well. You can reach out to him there, call our general number. They'll connect you with Anthony as well. Do you have a specific area that you're working on, or where is your coverage area as far as where you're working as a sales representative right now?
So I cover the entire territory, pretty much State College East into New Jersey, a little bit into Delaware, a little bit into Maryland, also into New York as well, but mainly focused in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and then the surrounding areas depending.
Absolutely. So the entire tri-state area. Anthony's got you
Absolutely.
covered. If you're looking for it, reach out to him if need be. And Anthony, I'm glad that I reached out to you to join us here on this KOB podcast episode this month. I appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time. I know it's been a whirlwind start for you since you've been in this sales role, and giving us a few minutes of your time here today is much appreciated. Best of luck in the new role. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again here on the KOB podcast soon enough.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Certainly, folks. And thank you to all of you who have tuned in for this month's episode of the KOB podcast. Once again, a reminder, if you've missed any of our episodes, you can check the video episode out on YouTube at Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, or the audio only versions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast episodes at. And another reminder, October coming up very quickly. We'll have our 1-year anniversary episode already. That's right. Can you believe it? We have reached 12 months of the KOB podcast, and we continue for many more months after that. But we got a special anniversary episode coming up in October, so you do not want to miss that. That'll do it for us here today. For Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, I'm Tyler Trumbauer. We'll talk to you next time.